All right. Players are shuffling up. Let's go ahead and go down to the table. We got round 7 on tap. Playing for the top 8 spot, we got the team of Jesse Robkin, Zoe Riederman, Piper Powell versus Alex Poulosky, Eddie Slimak, and Kris Ward. So certainly some recognizable names for fans of the NRG series. These teams both have a draw, and I imagine they're not the only ones in the room that have draws at this point.
I would be very inclined to agree. And now taking a look at some opening hands here. I mean, this certainly with records like these are leaning very much. If you are able to get this one, you will be going into that top 8 spot. So very much on the line here for these players.
Yeah. Okay. So we haven't seen lands in a little bit, but we see Kris Ward with lands here against Piper Powell with blue-red Delver, several Force of Wills in hand. Now, this is we're still in closed deck lists. We are not in the top 8 yet. So these players are going into this. I mean, you always later in the day, maybe you know what your neighbors are playing, but in the team event, when you see less of the field because your neighbors aren't all people you're playing against; they're your teammates. So I guess you're maybe less likely to know what you're facing as you sit down for the match in game 1. That seems reasonable to me, although I'm not entirely sure that it's true.
That's very true. Yeah, since these teams do have draws, there's potential that you could have walked around during other times and been able to see what they're playing. But we're going to start off with an exploration for Kris Ward.
Exploration is a card out of lands that I feel like it's one of the cards you're more likely to force a will than anything else, just because there aren't that many even spells, and you're not going to feel good countering Life in the Loam, although you do it once in a while. So yeah, this exploration is going to take a hit. Pitching the Brainstorm, I feel like there's, probably Piper spent some time thinking about what to discard or what to exile, but force or not was probably a fairly easy choice.
Oh, nice Altered Brainstorm too.
And Wasteland takes out the tie. All right, Life from Loam costs 2, so I'll try and keep you away from that.
Oh, that's a little spooky.
Kris is like, Expressive Iteration costs 2. I'll try to keep you away from that. And then
all right, no lands. Again, Legacy, a format where you could win on turn 1, but also you could wasteland both of you and your opponent for 3 turns in a row.
Piper does have a volcanic, but no play. And here's a Loam to set Kris up for the next few turns.
Nice wasteland here. Yeah. Let me get those back.
Ooh, tough for Piper here. Like I just said, we're not wild about forcing Life in the Loam. There is a Daze in hand as well. But this is a 3-for-1 already if you count all the lands as having value. The Wasteland certainly does. Uncomfortable spot here.
Yeah, this is gotta be kind of a rough decision. There is that Force of Will in hand, and you just kind of have to decide, is it that? Is it the Daze? Are we setting ourselves up for lands going back again? I guess if we're already going to be behind in lands, might as well be more behind. I don't know. It's hard to pick at this point.
A creature drawn is big, though, because now Piper's on the board. So Dragon Reach Channeler, still a 1/1. But the Force now provides some additional value as the Surveil trigger.
Ghost Quarter too. Whoa. Okay. So there is
Kris,
a Dark Depths there too.
Kris probably would have preferred to be able to play the Wasteland or the Taiga this turn, but not wanting to run into another Daze, plays the Ghost Quarter out first. And Piper puts the test once again.
Life from the Loam just feels like such a bad card to counter.
But I know. But it's tough. Without another red source or another land in hand, Piper has no guarantee that Expressive Iteration is even castable next turn. There's also Unholy Heat in hand, which is borderline worthless. if not actually worthless. And the decision is made. Expressive iteration thrown away. Surveilled trigger kept. And Surveil was kept, and Wasteland's going to take out that volcanic island. So Piper will lose whatever it was.
Oh, I think it was the Ghost Quarter, not the Wasteland, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Sorry. You're right. But Island fetched out and didn't catch sight of what it was that was lingering on top of the deck there. But Blue Man is all that's available. Is there a land for Murktide on top? No.
But at least there's this blue mana for Brainstorm. We get to Surveil too, so see a little bit extra.
See Invincible's draw and another force. Wow. Can Piper win this game?
I don't think
again?
win just forcing time and time again, but I also think that we're already kind of so far behind. This is hard. I'm trying to look at there's even like something in Piper's deck that can be used to exile the Loam or the Dark Depths from the yard, but there really isn't.
Force negation would be the only realistic option, and I don't feel like too many people play those main deck anymore.
There's only 2 in the sideboard.
Yeah.
So this feels just like kind of a unfortunate being on the draw and getting wastelanded kind of early is putting Piper pretty far back here, but
yeah, if there had been a Delver or Dragon Rage in the opening hand, then this would be way different because it would have been gotten like 3 attacks by now. All right, Steam Vents into play. Piper will pay 2 life, which is irrelevant. Cost that Murktide.
We pretty much have to pick a card that we can pitch to Force of Will if that's our game plan, yeah?
Yeah, is the only card in Piper's hand the Force right now?
I think so.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate because the rest of these cards aren't too exciting.
Oh, and it's
okay. This actually works. Pretty cool. Yeah, clean up the next card, which isn't good. And then draw the iteration to throw away. All right, nice work. And Surveil is, Delirium is turned on. That turn went pretty well as far as things go for Piper, but this still looks very hard.
Yeah, we are still fighting against this Loam that feels kind of impossible to counter. But very possible to counter, but feels impossible to have this Dragon Rage Channeler be the only thing that does damage while we hold off on that.
All right, playing around days again. Kris will lay down a Rashadan Port. Pick up 3 lands, including Dark Depths, like you pointed out, which combined with Thespian Stage already in play, means Dragon Rage Channelers' chances of attacking for this game over the course of 5 or 6 turns are very low. And Kris Ward is, doing the right things here, just assembling, okay, you're going to counter this, you're going to counter this, I'm just going to do it again, I'm going to do it again, and this is the plan I'm trying to achieve, and you're going to run out of answers eventually. And that's probably, well, maybe it's not this turn. But if you're Piper, what are you forcing if it's not this?
Nothing, because you can't force force Dark Depths. So you might as well just be trying to. I feel like this is hard because this is one of those places where like you committed to a game plan that was forcing the life from the Loam so early that now you've kind of priced yourself into making that same game plan because it's just like how you've focused the last few turns. And it's always hard when you kind of find yourself into, I priced myself into this position. And if I want to segue out, I'm like, it's hard because I've already started digging myself this hole.
Yeah. Okay, it's going to resolve. So Piper's going to choose to cast the expressive iteration instead of pitching it. And I mean, it's not even necessarily that changing plans was right or wrong. It's just that the plan just none of the options are pleasant.
Yeah, none of them are good. So you're picking
So
between all kind of rough options and just trying to make the most out of what you got.
yeah, and so you just have to decide, okay, from this point, what gives me the best chance of winning? And decisions made for iteration. This does, if a land drop is found here, it does kind of stave off the wasteland for a while, but
Mhm.
then Kris will likely just play Dark Depths.
Yeah. I mean, that is something that we could be looking for, and it at least kind of anything that is going to buy this Dragon Rage channeler turns to be attacking is kind of now the segue that Piper is trying to make.
Mhm. You have the deck list. Is there a Brazen Borrower in the main deck?
There is one copy of Brazen Borrower in the deck.
Okay. Okay.
That is certainly a game plan.
I think Piper drew Pyroblast this turn. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
that's real disappointing.
Yeah, that's certainly a rough one. Especially, yeah, because you'd love to be like, oh, this Murktide's a better clock. I'd love to cast it. But if you're holding onto this Force of Will, oh, this is just rough.
Mm-hmm. Kris abandons the life from the lone recursion for the moment.
Oh, to just wasteland the red source. Wow.
Crop rotation here. Well, if this were to get a Bojuga Bog, that would certainly reset the Dragon Rage Channeler.
Oh, and make that Murktide really rough. So I like
Mhm.
this decision. If the Murktide's going to be going down in a different way anyway, we might as well do that here.
I mean, Kris down to 13. This turn getting attacked down to 10. But it's hard
More
to feel
turns.
optimistic
Yeah.
when your card is an uncastable, or uncastable doesn't even matter, an irrelevant Pyroblast.
Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know. Piper definitely feels this feels like a better situation than Piper was in previously, and I think it is kind of she's just sticking to her guns and
I agree.
holding on in this situation.
Yeah, things have improved marginally, but it's still this Dark Depths is looming. Although I guess it cannot activate next turn. So that's some. Or wait, is that a Yavimaya Cradle of Growth in play? What land is that for Kris Ward?
It's a
It's Boseiju.
Boseiju.
Okay, that's what I thought originally. Yeah, it's a Boseiju. So
He has
yeah,
another Boseiju in hand that he accidentally dropped on the table too.
okay. So yeah, without that being
Barring having
Yavimaya.
discarded, I suppose, but I don't think he has.
Mhm.
Nice that Ponder is really living up to its name here.
Yeah, I mean Piper is not rushing these decisions, but that's fair because these are the none of these decisions have been easy this game.
No, absolutely not. Looks like we found a land, I believe, but it might have just been another island.
I think it's a
Oh.
fetch.
Oh, okay. Oh, but we didn't play it, so maybe it wasn't a land. Oh, I think it is. Okay, but we didn't play it as our land for turn. Okay. Now we have another Dragon Rage Channeler and the Pyroblast, but
Well, I think
that second Dragon Rage Channeler could make things a little bit better for us.
right. It makes it closer. Kris Ward at least will have to be a little bit nervous about it. Interesting. Is Piper hoping to bluff petty theft to get Kris to not go for this?
Oh, it doesn't look like it has stopped Kris Ward at all.
No, it doesn't. He didn't waste any time throwing in that Merit Lage out there. Not going to wait for Piper to play a Wasteland. So if the Dragon Rage Channeler if the second one was in play right now, then I mean, was the petty theft on top of was the Razor Bar on top of the deck? Did Piper know the third card?
I don't I mean, from the ponder, yeah,
Okay.
but
I mean, that would be a reason
that would be a
to do
reason.
things that way.
But it
No,
doesn't look like that's what's
no,
in hand. But this one will at least be able to block the Merit Lage.
that's true. You're right.
So we stay alive a little bit longer by keeping it in hand.
Yeah, that makes sense. This did buy a turn. I absolutely agree.
Unfortunately, our other Dragon Rage channeler is flying a little bit too close to the sun this time around, but
Yeah. No, yeah, holding on to this Dragon Rage Chandler was very smart. I mean, it slows the clock down, but it's the only way that Piper survives the turn without drawing another flyer.
survives
Uh,
the turn and tries to get closer to petty
yeah,
theft.
yeah, no, this was well done.
This is hard because you've got to see every card on top of your deck and be like, and how do I get rid of these? These are not the card I'm looking for.
Yeah, so the problem is that even if this works and petty theft is found, Piper still loses both Dragon Rage Channelers and has uh oh the Bajuga Bog was found on the loam. That'll wipe the
Oh,
graveyard and allow or Mare Lich to attack.
Marilich.
So
Cool.
the that was played just fine on both sides, and just the matchup and the loam and the draws led Kris to having an overwhelming advantage there, and was able
Yeah.
to ram home the Merit Lage for the full 20 and take down game one. All right, we are switching formats. Let's shift over to Jesse Robkin and Alex Poulosky. Mono Green Devotion versus Rakdos Sacrifice. If you're coming into this as a fan of Modern Legacy and haven't seen too much Pioneer, one thing that stands out to me in Pioneer is that many of the colors or color pairs in Pioneer represent more than one deck. There are two black-red decks that share some cards, but they're different enough to actually be distinct decks. The same goes for blue red. The same goes or like there's blue red control, but there's also Esper control. There's Indomitable Creativity decks in multiple different color combinations. There's white humans and there is Bant humans. There is
Mm-hmm.
blue spirits and there is Bant spirits. And I think that's interesting. That
It all just depends on if you want to play Collected Company or
yeah, I
not.
mean, to some degree that is true. It's just decided by that. All right, so here we go. Opening on Thoughtseize from Alex, revealing Double Cavalier, Old Growth Troll, Oath of Nissa, and I'm not sure what the
I
bottom
think
card
it's a
is.
Llanowar or an elf
It's
of some
an elf,
kind.
yeah. That would make sense because this hand would be fairly poor
That's
without
right.
an elf.
Mm-hmm.
So that may actually be the choice here
Yeah,
if
I kind of
Alex
agree.
if Alex can't kill the elf. And okay, yeah, maybe is unable to do so, so just does select it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there is still that Oath of Nissa that's likely just going to
Mm-hmm.
be a fine play anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a fine play for the turn. However, it doesn't lead to the Old Growth Troll getting into play the next turn, and that
That's
really
true.
is, I'm sure, what Jesse was hoping for.
A lot of alternate and full arts coming out of
Yeah,
Alex's deck.
in the last year, I feel like that's everybody.
Just
Gosh.
all of a sudden. I mean, they did print a lot of things for us to be able to kind of make these decks look a little bit nicer with. So,
Mm-hmm. All right, so if you're unfamiliar and you're seeing Temple Garden and you're saying, "Hey, it says mono green," this Temple Garden is here. These mono green decks do tend to splash planeswalkers of other colors. This one will be splashing with Temple Garden, presumably splashing Teferi, who
slows the sunset.
yeah, something sunset. I wasn't sure if it was Sails the Sunset or what, but Teferi who slows the sunset, which can be cast off of like a Temple Garden and a Sylvan Caryatid, but for the most part
Also,
is
can just be
being
cast off of the Oath of Nissa.
right.
Oh,
Is being for the most part is being cast off Oath of Nissa or making it into play on the Storm the Festival card. But a few lands can allow you to cast it in some scenarios.
All right, so Alex has an Unlucky Witness and a Cauldron Familiar stepping onto the battlefield here.
And Jesse appears to have the opportunity to cast Old Growth Troll, which is a good start. I mean, it's a fairly imposing card. Oh, wow, nice. Wolf Willowhaven first to allow some acceleration for the next turn, and then Old Growth Troll. And Deadly Dispute will sacrifice the Witness during the end step. Flip 2. So those are castable next turn. As well as Treasure and 2 Hearts in hand. So that's a big explosion of cards there for Alex.
Yeah.
Trying to get ahead of the big explosion of mana that Jesse is hoping for.
Yeah, and Alex is pointing out that the Unlucky Witness is the reason that we exiled 2 cards off the top of our library.
Mm-hmm. And maybe there's a question for judgment that did appear to have been executed in the correct order.
Yeah, I was going to say, that looks correct to me, so...
Yeah.
Always good to be safe, though.
Old Growth Troll, kind of a beating here in this matchup in particular. A fairly large creature that, if it gets killed, becomes an enchant, basically a fertile ground or a wild growth type card, and then also can be converted back into a 2/2. So lots of options over the course of several turns with Old Growth Troll, and in some respects, it's just there to provide a lot of devotion. So it's does some good work.
All right, looks like we got that Urborg into play off of that Unlucky Witness. We're just going to let that Blood Tithe Harvester that was exiled go away. And Mayhem Devil is going to come into party.
Yeah, and that is a key card for the deck. It's pointed out in the chat that Old Growth Troll, I mean, it's great unless it gets stolen and sacrificed, which is certainly something that happens in these decks. Although I believe the Old Growth Troll can only be put onto a forest. So if you steal it and sacrifice it, you don't actually get the benefit, even though it's still, at least your opponent doesn't either. But a couple of removal spells, well, actually, sacking a treasure isn't a removal spell, but more or less when Mayhem Devil's in town.
Mm-hmm.
Clears out the board.
And Epic Downfall will be the epic end to it.
Right. And so if Jesse was able to use the Old Growth Troll trigger there, then 5 mana would be available to cast Cavalier, but instead stuck on 4 and with no play.
And this definitely seems like, so when I looked at this matchup initially, I was definitely feeling like it is typically a little more Rakdos sacrifice oriented, just because there's so many ways for you to deal that one bit of damage and take care of a lot of the elves that this deck kind of heavily relies on, especially if you are like Jesse in this situation. You haven't gotten a chance to do a ton of ramping, save for just that Wolf Willowhaven. And now without those 2 Elvish Mystics, you're kind of looking a little bit rough with the 2 Cavalier of Thorns in hand. Granted, you're only 1 away from getting there, but it still feels a little rough to not have been able to immediately slam it after so many resources were deployed to take out those Elvish Mystics.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a deck that's, has crazy huge turns when it generates so much mana, but there's not actually that many land in the deck. I think 21 is the common number. So
also, this card is not really woo worthy. I just love this card.
Go Blake?
Yes, I mean, I'm always excited about a mind draw, and if you make a mind draw good by getting rid of graveyards, I'm in for it. I don't know if I would have brought Go Blank in this matchup in particular, but do I still like this card? Yes.
I'm with you on it being questionable and how good it is, but it might seem, but it's going to be great as when the elves are killed, when the acceleration is slowed down. And then, I mean, what's it going to hit every game? It's going to hit massive creatures, which is what
wow
Jesse had left there. And Thoughtseize follows it up and throws a Cavalier into the graveyard.
And all of a sudden, this looks so much worse for Jesse now, because had at least was like, okay, my elves are gone, but I'm 1 land away from 2 Cavalier of Thorns, and now only has 1 Cavalier, and that looks very doable to beat for Alex still.
Yeah. The no land found. That's unfortunate. The Go Blank also, I mean, the graveyard can matter. Exiling Storm the Festivals, there weren't any in there at the moment, but I mean that can matter also. So that's another use for the Go Blank.
Yeah, 2 1-ofs in the sideboard actually for Alex coming through here in that go blank as well as that epic downfall that we saw earlier.
Okay, so Jesse's still on 13 life, and that Cavalier is a pretty big blocker, but all right. Alex considering the Hall the Eye Tyrant here, which does have Menace.
That seems like a pretty telling activation on this turn, though, which worries me a little bit.
Considering an attack with everything, which would push through 5 damage, or just the Hall, which will get through 3. And the Hall is the choice. So Kiora, they got exiled. And that'll be it for the turn for Alex. So not super impressive, but with Jesse having nothing going on, maybe it's just fine. And then waiting to draw into sacrifice effects that will allow Alex to combo together some kind of nuisance that will blow the game open.
Looks like we're going to just take our turn to sacrifice the Wolf Willow Haven.
And Alex on top of things. I was wondering, that seems like an obscure trigger that you could miss.
Oh, it's one I would probably miss.
With your Mayhem Devil the first time through.
Yep.
But Alex is totally on top of it. It's something that surprised me. I thought Legend ruling yourself would trigger the Mayhem Devil, but it actually doesn't. It's not technically a sacrifice, even though it seems like it is. I actually didn't get confirmation on that, but the cards don't say sacrifice. So that's a rules twister that I would have failed.
Yeah, and I mean the Wolf Willow Haven activation isn't too bad because it does at least stop Alex from getting to do that pesky Hive of the Eye Tyrant attack time and time again, which would slowly whittle Jesse's life total down and then make this Mayhem Devil set with along something like a Witch's Oven coming into play at some point. Very unfortunate. Yeah, do you start just attacking in for one, see if it gets blocked, and see if you get to flip over 2 cards?
Maybe so. That seems to be what Alex is considering here. It might attack back a bigger swing from Jesse, but that's something that Alex could probably live with right now.
Yeah, land and a Thoughtseize in hand, so it's just looking for a little more action. Yeah, what the heck? Let's see. I mean, I'd just take the 1, so it looks like that's what Jesse's going to go for as well. And this is kind of like this is a Tron situation here. I think the average top deck card for Jesse is either an absolute banger or just like a small piece. And Jesse's got to just be hoping for it to be like that chance that it's just like a Karn liberated.
Right.
I mean, that's not in here, but.
Well, we understand that. Yeah. Another 1, and this time it's a block.
Oh.
And we got land, and is that Fable?
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, nope, it's a land. It's 2 lands. Oof.
Well, okay. At least Alex.
And there are 2 lands off the top of the deck.
Whoa.
Whoa.
All right. Well, 2 Mayhem Devils. That's scary business here for Alex Poulosky, who just needs virtually anything. And Unlucky Witness attacking in now is that's now very frightening to block.
Yeah. Are these sacrifice decks not playing the Eldraine fetch land anymore? Doesn't look like it on what I can see, but it does seem very different from like the popular Rakdos sacrifice decks that we saw for a long time, as Village Rites is going to be the sacrifice outlet for Unlucky Witness, and we're figuring out which order cards get drawn and happening.
All right, so this is going to be pretty brutal, as 2 damage comes across just from the Village Rites itself. And
yeah, it looks like that is going to be a kill spell that's going to allow for the attack for the final 6 to come through with the Mayhem Devils.
All right. So, even up there in Pioneer.
Darn, I kind of want to watch the 3rd match of that one, but we can go back to Legacy.
We don't need to watch them shuffle, but we can skip over to something else to watch and see what things are going on. Either check in on Zoe and Eddie, or here we got Piper and Kris. So back where we started, and this is going considerably better for Piper than game 1 did.
Yeah, already just having a creature in play that has counters and is doing some attacking a little bit earlier, gotta
Mhm.
feel much better for Piper for
Yeah,
sure.
although not a lot of lands in play, and there is a Tabernacle for Kris. So,
Ledger Shredder is kind of just happy to chill with it, I think.
yeah. All right, land in hand to play, and Wasteland's going to. Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's paying for the
This is the
Tabernacle.
beginning of turn. So paying for it instead of Wastelanding,
Mhm.
which yeah, because if it's Wastelanded, then against the land's deck, there's a good chance it just comes right back into play again.
Yep, yep. Something that was a popular theme in game number 1.
Yeah. All right. I don't know if that is bleeding through into the viewers at home or not, but production, I and I assume Becky are getting repeated loops
Oh.
of what I think is the editing of the interview that Mappamonte did earlier today. So maybe we can try and clean that up because it's tolerable, but it's beginning to get annoying.
Yeah, I did lovingly mute that section of where that call is coming from, so I have not been bothered by it for some time, but hopefully we can get that figured out as well in case that is something the chat is able to hear as well. And we saw this in game number 1. We're seeing it here again, and Merit Lage is out to play. Lightning Bolt also out to play. Looks like we
Yeah,
have another Lightning Bolt. Is Chris Ward's life total a bit lower than we are under the impression that it is?
we'll find out. Ledger Share is paid for once again. Wasteland drawn. Uh, Murktide in hand. So there is potential for blocks here. Taking 2 life, no cost at all. 19, the exact same as 1 at this point. Well, I guess you only get Punishing Fire to death.
We don't are is this a lands deck that is still playing Punishing
I
Fire?
think I saw it in game 1, yeah.
Okay, okay. I know some of them are not playing Punishing
Right.
Fire anymore, and I hadn't looked at this one in particular that much.
Alright, so Piper evaluating perhaps what cards are best used for delving here. And there is Murktide. Okay, so an attack here from Merit Lage would lead to a block, presumably from Ledger Shredder, and then a lethal attack back. So Kris is going to have a little bit of work to do here to figure out how to finish this match off.
Looks like there's a Blast Zone in hand, but that doesn't quite do it this time around. I mean, even if both these creatures survive, Piper has another Lightning Bolt in hand, can attack with both. One gets through, and the bolt finishes it off. So, save for Kris being able to take care of one of these creatures on this turn, Piper's in a pretty good I have lethal next turn spot. Oh, that does make it a little bit harder because now we have to pay for both of our creatures. And now
Mhm.
we need a land, and it looks like the only land in hand is currently a wasteland.
Okay, and there is the Blast Zone. And yeah, Piper can't just attack with both creatures and then bolt next turn because the Merit Lage would
Come back
would
right around.
right. Yeah, so that doesn't work. So are we at the point where does drawing a red source here win the game? Maybe.
I believe so, barring something in Kris's hand that I can't see.
Mhm. Do you surgical to yourself to thin the deck here?
I mean, I guess the thought could be there, but in fact, the draw for turn was another Merit Lage.
Okay, so Wasteland could be. This isn't necessarily over yet. Wasteland could take out the Blast Zone, and then we could be in the exact same position next turn, where Piper needs to draw a red source to win. All right, so this is ongoing in chat. Yeah, so Merit Lage is indestructible. Tabernacle does not have to be paid for because it technically
Can't
destroys
destroy
the
it,
creature,
yeah.
and so um, Kris can just let it be destroyed from Tabernacle. It will not go to the graveyard because it's indestructible. All right. Ledger Shredder blocks, and then Maze of Ith comes
Ith.
down. Well,
Oh,
that's bad news.
a rough
There's
one. Oh, and the Sage
Boseiju.
to take care of the colored mana. I think we're almost well, I guess it does matter. Are we getting rid of Wasteland to make sure that we can Maze of Ith? That has to be the case, yeah, because we're at 6.
Yeah, I agree. That would be more relevant. So if this setup that Kris has chose here, then I mean, I believe this is at least the second Wasteland, maybe the third one, but a Wasteland at the top would then end the game.
Or another Bolt. If we have a red, if we have a mountain to go for.
Well, I doubt we. Oh, right, sure.
Yeah, you can just go for
Yeah.
volcanic.
Although if we do that, we have to choose first.
Oh, that's true.
Or no, sorry, this is untapped, so it can just happen now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This still isn't over.
Yeah. So we could draw another Wasteland. We could draw another Bolt.
Yeah. We draw Petty Theft.
Oh.
If there's a land in hand, which I'm not sure if there is.
It looked like a Scalding Torn.
Okay, there's a Murktide in hand, so we can play another creature.
True. Okay.
Yeah. So this is exactly like game 1, where Piper is having to make, plays to try, except this time she's much closer to winning.
Yeah, this time it feels doable.
Yeah.
The last time it felt like it was kind of just like a means to an end. This time it feels like we are actually in it to win it.
Yeah, potentially. So
especially when both of your teammates are also sitting at 1-1 at each of their tables respectively, as we're just now seeing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so double Murktide. In fact, this will make the first one extremely large. For a moment, I blanked on where the Maze of Ith go, but that's because Kris was holding it in his hand ready to activate it.
Kris was like, I'm not going to forget about this Maze of Ith.
And...
oh, what are we surgicaling? Pyroblast?
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Make sure that you don't have a way to get rid of my dragons. Right, and we do, now that we're Kris, I guess we just get to keep attacking with this Merit Lage, huh? I was going to say we have to find a way to get rid of one of these Murktide Regents, but we don't really. I mean, we have an answer to one of them.
Okay. Yeah, chat just corrected itself. That's not a crop rotation hand. That's an exploration. So that's effectively a dead card. Crop rotation would be potentially significant. All right, here's attack, block. All right.
Oh, we had another Maze of Ith?
All right, lightning bolt is it. Piper just, I think, perhaps, I guess did pay.
Ponder?
All right.
Yeah, the Steam Vents was the pay for the Tabernacle.
Okay.
All right, what do
Petty
we see?
Theft
Petty
is
Theft,
gone.
but we don't have the land. No.
Oh, Piper, why did you pay for this Murktide Regent?
Why did you pay for Murktide Regent? No reason.
All right, so, well, this is still not over because
that's
Piper
true.
can block
yeah,
and then bounce, and it's not like this Murktide was ever going to do anything anyway through two Maze of Iths.
Through two Maze of Iths,
Yeah, so that's out of here. Endurance, shuffling back. Endurance shuffling the graveyard back. I don't know if there's some of the...
I don't know if I would do that.
Yeah, with some of the lightning bolts in
we're
that
at
group.
3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not back immediately. But yeah, okay, bang, get out of here, Merit Lage.
Yeah, I'm all of a sudden a little concerned.
All right, so now Piper with a shuffle might be able to put some more lightning bolts back in the deck.
We could also just cast the Brazen Borrower. I mean, I guess there's Maze of Ith, so
well, yeah,
that doesn't really do it.
That's
but
covered. Here's a Bojuka Bog does nothing now. Iteration.
I'm like tilting my head to the side like it's gonna allow me to see into Piper's hand better.
Oh, so this is land, force, surgical. Anything that shuffles your own deck is good right now, assuming there were bolts in the graveyard, which I really think they
Yeah,
were,
I'm
unless
pretty sure they
Piper
were.
exiled them. I just don't know why that would have happened. So yeah. All right, Kris Ward with Thespian Stage in play, but no Dark Depths, and Surgical is going to fire off and take out Dark Depths. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is a game.
I mean, it really is, which is kind of remarkable. It sure seemed like it was over, but yeah,
Yeah.
these players are playing for top 8. Piper Powell does not want to give it up.
I mean, Powell has her back against the wall here too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now what? Kris is hoping to punishing fire in the game, Urza Saga in the game.
All right. So in response to the chat, one question: should Piper have waited till draw step? That is something that's possible in case Kris draws a Dark Depths, you get it for free. However, if Kris draws a crop rotation, then Piper is destroyed. So that's kind of the trade-off on that one. Because then in response, the crop rotation would just put a Dark Depths into play, and Piper would have one turn to get out of it, which is not especially likely to happen. Endurance would also do it, says producer or director David, and that's correct. Other question was about, is there a top 4 that will be streamed tonight? No, the top 4 will take place tomorrow morning. So if you're looking for the top 4 in the finals of this event, tune in tomorrow morning. I believe we're starting up at 9 Central Time. All right. Well, card filtering is now turbocharged for Piper Powell. Looking for a lethal lightning bolt, which it almost has to be, because with those 2 Mazoviths, it's going to be tough to win with a creature.
Yeah.
True Name Nemesis maybe, but those haven't been played for quite a while at this point.
Bring back True Name Nemesis.
Urza Saga, okay.
All right. I mean, considering I think the other card in hand is a Mox Diamond that isn't really going to do too much, Urza Saga's got to be welcome to see. Though we're going to have to get a lot of action out of that Karn artifact if we want to win this game. And the days have got to be kind of numbered now that Piper's able to go through this many cards.
Okay, here is another Murktide Regent. Probably has some counter. Did it actually delve 5 non? No, there's at least a Ponder that got delved. Should have at least a counter on it, I think. All right, so
Sorry, we're quiet for
so
a
this
long time.
Murktide
We're getting a
Regent
fun
is
fact from
this.
production.
So this Murktide Regent is actually relevant here. I was thinking it's just kind of a waste of Tabernacle Mana, but it's required as a blocker now.
Yeah.
Which is going to become a problem when these Urza Saga tokens start coming in. Here is Brazen Borrower. No haste creatures in the deck.
I don't know. We
Upkeep paid.
find one more creature.
Ponder. Submerge, huh? There is not a forest in play at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're all forced because of Yavimaya Cradle of Growth.
Right? Oh, that's what's up top next to the tabernacle. I see.
Mm-hmm.
Brainstorm. Still looking for it.
Oh, we found a
Wasteland.
wasteland. We could get rid of one of these Mazoviths.
Well, that's enough.
Yeah. I don't even know when these creatures turn sideways, but that was like a breakneck
Wow,
speed.
that game was great.
Oh, yeah, I feel like my blood pressure went up, but let's go. Yeah, Pioneer, bring me back.
Okay, well, Piper
All right,
Powell
let's
well
put it all
deserved
together
there.
here.
Okay, so we got
Our
Cavaliers, we
little
got
Connect 4 board below us is
yeah,
looking really filled in.
we got Cavaliers, we got Nykthos, we got Ton of Mana, we got Teferi, which is not the game breaker that Karn is, but it's still something. Can anticipate by going down in loyalty, or it can untap a whole mixture of stuff
Mhm.
by
So
plussing.
I would have thought that this would look pretty good for Jesse based on board alone, but looking at life totals, I feel like anytime you're below 10 against one of these sacrifice decks, like they can throw out 10 damage kind of radically.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And with a couple cards in hand here for Alex. So there definitely are tricks that can be played. 5 triggers or 10 triggers at once is asking a lot, but the 2 harvesters are just can activate whenever they want to, even with no blood in play. But yeah, Jesse thinking about probably the question here is okay, do I attack with Cavalier and then untap? Or do I anticipate and hope for the nuts and just make real inroads on the board? And the choice is
Oh.
to anticipate. 1, 2, 3.
All right, it looks like Zoe Riederman was the first one to take a match down.
And the find was
Karn. 4
that's a
mana
Karn?
Karn. Yeah, it's a secret lair Karn that's made
Okay.
to look like an old, like if Planeswalkers would have been printed before Planeswalkers were a thing and the formatting was made.
And that's a glass casket. So there's
Oh,
wow, Temple
bye
Garden.
Mayhem Devil.
Yeah. So that's not something I've seen in a whole ton of lists. I've seen portable holes in a lot of places, but glass casket there takes that Mayhem Devil. Uh, I would say dramatically reducing the chances that Alex Poulosky is going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought that too before our Mayhem Devil got sniped. All right, so if we just use a 9, what kind of things do we have that we could even go face? I don't even think we can.
Oh, it might. Yeah. Is it just we have to kill the planeswalkers?
Yeah, I think we do.
Okay, they both get
Which
wiped there.
sucks because that's at least like 6 damage that could have gone face, and then Jesse would only be at 3, but
Mm-hmm.
you'd be taking
You're taking 10 back. Oh, Witch's
yeah, but
Oven.
you'd go
Okay.
to 1, and
Right.
there's not a ton of ways for the green-white deck to do 1 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm, that's interesting.
Alex, what are your cards?
Looks like they were lands. It's a go blank.
Oh, that's not going to help. Well, I guess it will. If there's a way to deal with the Cavaliers, you may as well clean the graveyard first. Okay, pass. These Cavaliers
What
have
are we
reach, but
saying
not
that we can
trample.
yeah, we can just, like, block Cavaliers, and we're just trying to
Bang. Bosechu
okay.
takes it out. Jesse Robkin takes down this game 3, and the team of Robkin, Riederman, and Powell most likely will advance to the top 8.
I would go based on Jesse's little dance that she just did. The answer is they've done the math and they probably will.
Yeah. The wow. I mean, those were some close games we just saw. This one maybe not
Yeah.
as much, but the Legacy game was extreme, and that
Mhm.
match doesn't even actually end up
It
finishing.
doesn't yeah, it doesn't end up
Yeah.
mattering.
But just for, building a career, building a story, it's nice to have a game like that on camera that you can go back and be like, hey, I won this game, even if it
Yeah.
didn't actually matter. It's just nice to be able to go back, and that was a good effort. And then, yeah, the Pioneer match, Devotion takes it down, and yeah, so there we are. That was the Swiss. Hope you all enjoyed it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, if we're going to be seeing some even close to as intense games as we've just been seeing
Mm-hmm.
in these last 2 rounds in this top 8, we're in for a treat.
Yeah, no, it should be good. Yeah, don't leave right away. We still have the quarterfinals left to go today. We have one match round left, but that will take a few moments to set up. I don't know how much time is left in this round, but then the time was just called in the round, so the matches will finish. Tiebreakers will be calculated. Top eight will be announced. Pictures will be taken. Celebrations will be made, and then the players will sit down to play the quarterfinals. So it's going to be a bit of a break before that actually gets going. Let's go ahead and pop back up. Let's put up the leaderboard. We haven't seen
Yeah.
that too many times today, and some of the players we just saw are on there because there are a lot of points on the line in addition to the money and the invitations. So here you see the season 2 leaderboard. After next month's event, the top couple players on here will lock up slots in the year. We saw Zach Allen earlier today. He's sitting in second place right now. We saw Scott Polera today. We saw Jesse Robkin and a few of the other players on the list. And then if we look at the overall leaderboard, there's a couple of different ways to get into the NRG season or the year-long championship. So you see Zach Allen up here again alongside Zoe Riederman as the top 2 unqualified players. Jesse Robkin down there in 9th. So if Zach Allen qualifies in season 2, which at the moment he would do, then he will be oranged out, I guess, for the year-long leaderboard, and a slot would even pass further down. So you can see how your favorite players are looking right there. Last year's MVP, Will Kruger, still got some work to do, down in 18th with 54 points. Still definitely in the running, as we've got 5 monthly events left in the year, but that's where we're standing right now. So thanks for being with us. We're going to step away. Becky and I will be back for the top 8 in a few minutes.